A brutally American horror story with a uniquely American Dracula.
Good job. All right, folks. Now our fellows are going to come out and pick a few volunteers out of the audience.
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and another really awkward book review where I just sort of ramble and it's non-linear and I just tell you chunks of what I recall. Isn't it? Just buckle up. I made notes though, so I have that. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Buffalo Hunter Hunter. This is my first Stephen Graham Jones read, and it went exactly as I kind of thought it might go. Buffalo Hunter Hunter is a 5-star read, and I absolutely loved it. So if that's all you needed to know from the video, I got that out of the way for you right up front so you can enjoy the rest of your day. Maybe grab some chips and dip and watch some good favorite movies. I had a suspicion it would go that way because the reviews I had read about Stephen Graham Jones's work was either one of two things. People absolutely loved it and they thought he was awesome. Or the other group, which was, I don't get it. It's hard to unpack. He's not, his writing style is difficult and I'm not here for it. And so it's sort of a DNF situation because they just don't jibe, which is fair. Now, when I take those two reviews and I put them together, the overlay is you love him and he has a unique style. And so I'm up for that challenge. And it could be, that somebody's a hot mess and then, they're just highfalutin. But it's a lot of the same criticisms you'll get for The Road. Cormac McCarthy's The Road. And that is beyond brilliant. So I took the gamble and I thought, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And oh boy, was it. This is, as I said in the beginning, America's Dracula. Just like Dracula, it's told it's found footage before there was footage, right? So this book is told through a journal. There's a Lutheran pastor who's hearing the confession of a Native American in 1912. He's writing his journal about his life and how this affects him, hearing the confession from the character named Good Stab. And Good Stab comes into this church with the hope of unburdening himself from his past deeds. At the outset, it's sort of an oddity to be hearing confession from somebody who's obviously not a Christian and doesn't pretend to be. And so it's sort of this cultural education or cultural melding. And this pastor's journal becomes a record of the events that happened in 1870 Montana. And as the pastor hears Good Stab's story, it gets darker and deeper. And as it unfolds, so much is revealed. And I'm not going to say anything about that because those are called spoilers and I don't do them. But if you recall, Dracula was written through a series of diary entries and newspaper articles and things like that. So there's that parallel. But Dracula was also of its time. It was a look at Victorian era England, and it sort of played into class and race and social standing, much the same way Buffalo Hunter plays into the time, the context, the historical significance of 1870 America. And there's a framing device to this book. It starts with the descendant of that Lutheran pastor getting access to this journal. A construction worker finds it in the wall and hands it to an archivist, a university, and then it finds its way to the descendant of the pastor who then transcribes it. So she essentially lives and becomes a witness. And that's also the experience for the reader. You're more than a reader of this book. You start to become a witness to the events. There are chapters, there are entire passages that, wow, man, it just slaps the tears out of you. It is heartbreaking. Here is Good Stab is a man desperate to maintain his way of life, maintain his heritage, maintain his very identity and humanity. The things that Good Stab suffers are just absolute torture. and it goes beyond just his identity as it is tied to the environment and the land he lives on. It's so much. It's a loss that's unimaginable. And I guess the criticisms I'm seeing of this book, some people find it hard to get through the way the story's told. There's a lot of language in the book that's Native American language. For example, mice are referred to as dirty faces. I believe deers are wags its tail or wags his tail. I'm not even 100% certain that I've interpreted all the phrases correctly, but that is not the point. The point is, it is a culture clash. It is a collision of worlds. It is a world slipping away and somebody trying to maintain it. And you're sitting there like the Lutheran pastor, if that is not your experience, trying to understand it. You're not supposed to get every little thing. And if you're somebody who's going to sweat that sort of stuff and not want to sort of be in that moment or in that position of trying to understand somebody reaching across a cultural divide, then yeah, then just, you could go read a Bentley Little book, which is pretty plastic. I'm just saying, like, I'm not insulting anybody who didn't get Buffalo Hunter x Hunter. Not every book is everybody's jam, and I might read a book that I'll DNF, and somebody else will say this is brilliant. So it's all different strokes for different folks, right? But this one hit all the right notes. I do believe it is America's Dracula. And one thing I think that Stephen Graham Jones did brilliantly, another thing, was that he wrote in three different voices. You have the Lutheran pastor, Arthur, you have Good Stab, and then you have Etsy, Arthur's great, great, great granddaughter. And there's a word for that too. There's a French word for that, but I'm not going to try to pronounce it. And each voice is so different. That's not an easy thing to do, people. It's not. And you really do feel like you're hearing from three distinct people. I will say the only thing I would ding this book on is that the framing narrative where Etsy gets the journal, and then the end where, well, I can't say what happens at the end, but there's a framing narrative where you then rejoin Etsy in present day or 2013. Um, and she is dealing with the journal and her life. And she actually adds her passages to the same document. So the idea is that this is the full contained document that perhaps is on her laptop. The framing narrative it kind of took some of the power out of the book. The beginning part was fine, but the ending, it got it. I think, in my opinion, it could have been a lot shorter, a little more to the point of maybe there could have been some things that were maintained. I understand, and I thought some of the things that the final section took on were worthy things, and I think they served the story well. I just think it diminishes the power of what preceded it. Do those things need to happen? Could it have been a more succinct ending? Could the whole episode with Etsy have resolved a different way? Yeah. But I think the middle part was so powerful that even that sort of dimming of the five brilliant stars at the end is forgivable. I think this book isn't for people who don't want to feel out of their element. I happen to like feeling out of my element a little bit. For example, when you go to see a Shakespeare play, you're sitting there, and it might be a little bit at the beginning of the play where you're like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. Then you fall into the cadence and you begin to understand the way William Shakespeare uses language. And you discover how incredibly versatile and flexible the English language is and how it can unfold in so many different ways. And then you're in there, and it's pure magic. If you don't like feeling like that, if you don't like trying to play and trying to like absorb via context, then yeah, I think maybe you should. There are more accessible books, perhaps. I don't know, but I thought this was damn near perfect, and I did get the Black Crows edition that has the, the digital edge, little blackhorn right there, and it's signed. And I am eager to read more Stephen Graham Jones. I have The Only Good Indians and Mongrels and Mapping the Interior waiting for me on my shelf. I also have the first 2 books in the Angel of Indian Lake trilogy. So, yeah, I have acquired a lot of Stephen Graham Jones books without ever reading them. But now that I have, it's all valid. It's all justified. Brilliant book. Highly, highly recommend. So that's my review. And if it made any sense, then I'm lucky. And if it didn't, then I'm sorry. I know I'm going to be really sick to my stomach when I edit this and think of all the things I should have said. But that's all I have for now. Thank you for joining me this time. I hope to see you again next time. And in the meantime, stay frosty.